Hey guys, I just wanted to speak to you before the video started. I've had this idea for a very long time. I hope you guys like it. Tell me if you think my impression is cringy, whatever. If you like it, that's great. And be sure to answer the poll in the top right corner of the screen when it pops up. Cheers.
Hello and welcome to Life in Halo Wars. Join me as we discover the many mutations of humans that make up the Halo Wars ecosystem. In this episode, we'll take a closer look at the ODST spammer, one of the most prevalent species throughout all of Halo Wars. Using the latest in technology, hopefully we'll be able to get a very unique insight into what makes ODST Nubius tick. Getting a closer look, we see our first subject, Crinkly Square 64. Notice the lack of formation in his group. We now turn our attention to the way in which he produces his ODST. He simply double pumps from 2 barracks on 1 base. Simply astounding. Look at the selfishness of Crinkly Square 64 as he uses 2 hooks on the map to make his ODST. Unexpected conflict arises as the Alpha discovers the ODST spammer. Undaunted, however, ODST Nubius advances upon the threat. Something unexpected occurs as the Alpha also appears to have ODST. Surprisingly, the Alpha is retreating. He places a wall, but it is not enough to stop the ODST spammer as he loses a tank to the Mac. The spammer attempts to chase after the Spartan, but is blocked off. A new threat arises for the ODST spammer as he comes in contact with Jackals. Surprisingly, however, the Jackals seem to retreat. Their direct counter is back as the Jackals attempt to eradicate the ODST. However, the Jackals are simply outnumbered and are quickly dealt with. Due in no part to the ODST spammer, the Jackal player decides to resign. We are bear witness to the ODST spammer's cancerous migration upon Blue's base. Watch as he quickly dismantles the base. And with one final RPG, the base falls. Hoorah! Having witnessed enough, I decided to teach the ODST spammer a lesson, much to the audible distress of the ODST spammer. The ODST spammer displays his contempt in the only way he knows how, by placing an ODST upon my prophet. he attempts to get some petty revenge by quad-macking my base. I then attempt to remove all possible means of creating ODST. 144 ODST were built. Disgusting. It appears the ODST spammer believes placement in a game is important. We now focus our attention upon the pre-pupate form of ODST. Dealing little to no damage, it can largely be ignored. This is a very peculiar form of base building, where only 3 supply pads are used. He now attempts to kill the Marine rebels guarding the teleporter on his side of the map. Seeking revenge for killing Red Space, the ODST spammer attempts to kill my temple with a Mac Blast. Make that 2. These people seem oblivious to the fact that destroying supply pads is much more useful. Notice Blue coming to the rescue with his assortment of Marines. It appears one of the ODST spammers has decided to build an expansion base. Again, the troop used to defend is the Marine, and it seems like Yellow has decided to help with some of his own Marines via Pelican. Green has also used an Elephant, an exceptional air defense unit. Or maybe not. A very well placed Mac indeed. It seems Green's defense is not enough, as his base finally falls. For the first time, we are bear witness to a useful ODST spammer, as Blue helps to kill Red's base. Again, Yellow resorts to the Pelican. ODST spammers apparently have very short-term memory, as they forget what happened to their base before. Noticing the only threat to them is air, they build only anti-air turrets. Sensing a degree of frustration, Red and Green attempt to push upon my base, with not 1, but 2 Macs. Believing they have the upper hand, they attempt to aim for my main base. What they do not know is I have the direct counter. The Engineer. Watch as the base health rises, and they fail to remove the summits. We now turn our attention to Johnny I, as he heals 1 single ODST unit. Yet again, Green has not learnt. Despite the fact that my teammates have an army, they do not wish to attack. As such, I send them a very gentlemanly request to attack. So it seems Blue has gotten the message, as he attempts to defend my base. It also seems Green has forgotten. This is all too much for the ODST spammer, as he resigns. We should all take a moment to admire the formation of Marines. Notice how the ODST spammer continues to waste his ODST, simply giving the opponent veterancy and points. To get a unique insight, I decided to become an ODST spammer. As such, I did not move from my base until I had created the ODST. Needless to say, it was a very long and arduous journey.
ODST research.
And so it begins. I decided to help my Covenant teammate. Needless to say, the experiment turned out much better than expected. Watch as the ODST spammer attempts to heal his base while it is being attacked. Very questionable, to say the least. Sometimes you may find yourself in a 2v3 situation, or even a 1v3. Hornets on a main base are usually easily dealt with, but when you add a mixture of ODST spammer, it becomes a lot more difficult. and despite attempts to snuff the supply of ODST by destroying a reactor, it is not enough. As Yellow's tanks does most of the work, Blue's ODST are more of a distraction, as it becomes all too much. We now move on to another situation of frustration. Watch as expansion base falls one after another, all because of me. In the end though, it is not enough, as despite my attempts to destroy the expansion bases, all it does is provide them with enough time to build their units, which I thought I had done for my teammates, but all I get is this. There are simply no words to describe what I am seeing. But oh look, Yellow is researching ODST. But, as I said, their amassed army now finally pushes upon my base, seeking some sort of revenge. There are simply no units that my team built that could destroy this. What a lovely mech. And in comes Purple to save the day. Oh, but what do we have here? It looks like Yellow was not researching ODST after all, and simply chose to amass an army of Marines. Watch closely as the cancer spreads. Surprisingly, Purple's bizarre army is holding off Red. Now it is Yellow's turn to come to the rescue. Astounding. The Marines make Red retreat. However, it is all for naught, as their superior armies surround our bases. Watch as Yellow creates a very crude wall. Yet again, Red is scared off by Yellow. I performed another experiment, this time on the map 14. I wanted to see what would happen to the other ODST players if I performed the gate glitch on the gates. We now experience a very rare sight indeed, 3 elephants on defense. A rather amusing thing occurs as Yellow decides to help by, you guessed it, pelicaning in Marines. But alas, only 2 of the elephants survive. Watch as the ODST spammer attempts to retrieve the gate from the green player. Yellow takes the middle, but have no fear as Blue's mighty elephants come into sight. Watch as the Spartanized elephants decimate Yellow's army. It appears that this Prophet player is rather confused. Yellow is back, but this time he's facing ODST. The ODST spammers form a terrible trio as they attempt to take this base. Now it seems a pack of grizzlies wants to pass through, but that simply cannot be allowed. Unfortunately, 3 make it through the gate. Make that 5. They are quickly dealt with. A new threat is on the horizon as Yellow and a group of hunters attempts to take the middle. Unfortunately, they misunderstand the power of the ODST spammer. Realizing that Green cannot get past the gates, he attempts to pelican instead. This time, it is Yellow who is confused by the gate and cannot seem to get through. They then attempt to get through the middle. Seeing an opportunity, I decide to make a Vulcan with Blue's elephants. It now seems that Yellow has discovered the Pelican. With but 2 tanks, they are quickly dealt with. A truly bizarre situation. We see that Purple has decided to beam his own teammates, probably out of frustration. As the cancer takes hold, the game is surely over. Continuing the experiment, we find yet more ODST spammers. Vultures and ODST spammers are deadly combo without any healers, and thus this process continues. It seems that X-Brain Gamer X wants to take the gate, but is unable to accept the fact that he'll never be able to. A very adorable sight from Yellow. It seems that the ODST spammer is attempting to amass an army, but not if I have anything to say about it. This has most likely left him stunned, unable to comprehend the fact that all of his army is dead. Out of frustration, he spams his ODST. Due to the antics of the ODST spammers on my team, it seems that Yellow has amassed some veterancy. Rest in peace, Phoenix ODST. Sometimes it is necessary to speak their language. It seems that Green is fighting fire with fire. It does not seem to be very effective. Having easily stopped the Brute's army, it is not enough, however, as the cancer spreads across my base. It has now spread to my main base. Luckily, I managed to remove most of it. We can now see what Blue wasted his money on. And before you can say poppycock, it is all gone. Despite my best efforts, I cannot carry this team. It seems Blue has not learnt from what happened last time, with no help from Green to be seen, but a few ODST. Witness the final moments. You see, Blue, that is what happens. Again, there simply is too much. I attempt to make a counter push, but this leaves Green defenseless. Despite Green's flares, he seems oblivious to the fact that we have already lost. Blue seemed very determined to save his non-veteranized units, with me performing a counter push left Yellow unchallenged. Gaze upon the marine migration. Simply astonishing. Notice how they march similar to that of a worker ant, or with the same purpose. Here we can see Red struggle to deal with ODST Nubians, as he all units with his Warthog. It was at this moment that I decided to perform a very rare unarranged threes turtle. Having killed my base with Wolverines and ODST, I decided to return the favor. The Brute then uses the Vortex glitch to get past the gate. While setting up a Vulcan, this happened. The Covenant player really could not catch a break. Marvel as the ODST systematically destroy a base. A very well placed heal by Black. We witness yet another Congo line of ODST. Since their Covenant player did not know how to use engineers, they were extremely effective. Yet another example of a Covenant player who doesn't learn. Watch as my team flares incessantly, asking to open the gate. I do oblige, of course. Sort of. They resort to a Mac, a very costly measure.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give it a like. It really helps my self-esteem. I've got a poll in the top right corner asking whether you want to see a continuation of this as a series but with different groups, like people who build grizzlies or hawks. I was also considering doing a series where I commentate over people's playstyles in underrange 3s, like for instance when they should push and when they should back off. So you guys can choose either of those. I'll also have an extended version on my second channel if you'd like to see the uncut video. Cheers guys.